Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling some pretty hot button topics.
Oh, yeah.
Race, gender, politics, the ones generating all those heated discussions these days.
Always good for a lively debate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going straight to the source with clips from YouTube interviews and discussions.
Sounds intriguing. Who are we hearing from?
Big names. Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Brett Cooper, Charlie Kirk, and a few others too.
A real mix of perspectives there.
Definitely. And that's the point, right? You want to get past the noise and spin and really understand what's at the core of these complex issues.
Cut through the clutter and get to the heart of the matter.
Precisely. We'll break down the core arguments, look at the evidence presented, all that good stuff.
So people can form their own informed opinions.
That's the goal. All right, let's dive in.
Sounds good.
We'll start with the ever so controversial topic of race.
Ah, yes. Always guaranteed to spark a conversation.
Right. Matt Walsh, in his documentary, Am I Racist? He uses satire to kind of tackle the whole anti-racism thing.
Interesting approach.
He actually argues that the only form of racial discrimination happening today is against white people.
Wow, that's a pretty bold statement.
It is, and it definitely challenges a lot of common assumptions.
It does make you think about whose perspective is often centered in these discussions.
Absolutely. He even brought on Jillian Michaels, the fitness guru. She shared her own experience.
Oh, really? What does she have to say?
She was told that being white would make it tough for her in the entertainment industry.
That's a perspective you don't hear that often.
You don't. And it does make you wonder if the conversation around race is truly capturing the whole picture,
Definitely raises some questions. Speaking of different perspectives, Larry Elder points out that a majority of Democrats, and especially black Democrats, perceive Republicans as racist.
Yeah, he talks about that. But Elder contends that this perception doesn't actually line up with the impact of policies enacted under President Trump.
Okay, how so?
He brings up things like school choice and stricter border security. He argues these actually benefit black communities disproportionately.
Interesting. I'd be curious to hear more about his reasoning there.
He cites a study by the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, which found that illegal immigration can actually negatively impact employment and wages for black Americans. So he's using that as an example.
Exactly. To highlight the disconnect between public perception and the reality of how certain policies actually affect different racial groups.
It makes you think about how policies are framed versus their actual impact on the ground.
For sure. So we've got this potential clash between perception and reality. How does all of this challenge your own assumptions about race and politics? It's a lot to consider.
It really is. It's definitely food for thought. Now, how about we shift gears a bit and look at another big issue, the changing family structure. It comes up a lot in these kinds of discussions.
Yeah, for sure. Ben Shapiro, he argues that the government has, in many ways, stepped into the roles traditionally held by the church and the family.
And he sees that as a negative thing.
He does. He thinks it's led to some unintended consequences. He even shares a personal example from his synagogue.
I'd be curious to hear about that. Okay, so in his synagogue, whenever anyone loses their job, the community really rallies around them.
That's great. They provide support.
Oh yeah, meals, support, help finding new employment, the whole works.
It's like a built-in safety net.
Exact. And Shapiro suggests that this kind of community support fosters gratitude and encourages people to take responsibility for their own well-being.
He's contrasting that with government assistance, I imagine.
You got it. He believes that while those programs are obviously important, long-term reliance on them can sometimes create a sense of dependency.
And maybe disincentivize personal initiative.
That's his point. He's not saying people shouldn't get help when they need it, but it's more about questioning whether those programs actually hinder people from thriving and becoming self-sufficient in the long run.
It's a tricky issue for sure. Raises questions about the role of government versus individual responsibility.
Absolutely. And interwoven into all of this is the concern about the rise of fatherlessness.
Right, that comes up a lot too.
It does. Larry Elder, in a conversation with Zuby, he drops a pretty startling statistic. 70% of black children grow up in single-parent households.
Wow, that's a significant number.
It is. And Elder connects this directly to other societal problems like crime and violence.
Makes sense?
Yeah,
He's probably arguing about the lack of a strong male role model.
Exactly. He says that young people without consistent father figures, they often lack a healthy respect for authority, whether that's a parent or even law enforcement.
So he's drawing a direct line between fatherlessness and these broader societal issues.
He is. It's a bold statement for sure, and it does make you think about the consequences for individuals and communities as a whole.
No doubt about that. It's definitely a complex issue with a lot of layers.
It is. Now, Brett Cooper, in her own conversation with Zuby, she offers a more personal perspective on this whole fatherlessness thing. She reflects on her own experience growing up.
Sounds like she had a difficult childhood.
Yeah, she talks about a tumultuous family dynamic and her parents' eventual divorce. It's interesting to hear her personal take on it.
It adds a human dimension to these larger societal discussions.
Absolutely. Reminds us that these aren't just abstract concepts, they have real impacts on people's lives.
Exactly. And speaking of strong opinions, didn't Matt Walsh weigh in on the importance of father figures too?
He did. He's very firm in his belief that fathers, especially for boys, are absolutely essential. He thinks they play a critical role in shaping a child's character.
Instilling discipline, providing a role model, that sort of thing.
Precisely. So we see this common thread emerging, a concern about the evolving family structure and how it impacts children, especially boys. What are your thoughts on all of this? It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. Makes you think about the different ways these issues intersect and the potential long-term consequences.
Exactly.
We've been diving deep into some pretty heavy stuff, race and family structure.
Yeah, big topics for sure. But there's another layer we got to explore, the role of faith and traditional values.
How they fit into the picture of modern America.
Right. Matt Walsh, he actually argues that conservatives have kind of abandoned art as a way to communicate effectively.
Interesting. What makes him say that?
He contrasts it with his view of Angel Studios.
They're the ones making all those Christian-themed movies, right?
Exactly. And what's fascinating is they use audience feedback to shape their productions.
So they're really catering to what viewers want.
Yeah, and Walsh seems to think that's a smart move. He sees art, especially film and TV, as this powerful tool, for conveying ideas and shaping culture, even
reaching people on a different level than just talking heads.
Exactly. It makes you think, right? Could art be a more effective way to understand these complex issues? More compelling, maybe even more memorable?
It's definitely a different approach. Now, Charlie Kirk, he's all about the importance of Christian values in politics.
He's very vocal about that.
And he often uses biblical principles to back up his arguments, right?
All the time. Like when he was defending Trump's border wall, he brought up the book of Nehemiah.
The one about rebuilding Jerusalem's walls.
Yeah. And he also argued that open borders go against God's plan, citing the Tower of Babel story.
So he's framing political issues within a biblical framework.
Exactly. It makes you think about how faith influences political views and how we can even have a conversation when people have such different belief systems.
It's all about finding common ground, or at least understanding where the other side is coming from.
Now, speaking of strong opinions, Michael Knowles, he's super critical of what he sees as the decline of traditional values.
He's not one to shy away from controversy.
Not at all. He actually said that Beethoven is superior to Cardi B and Shakespeare is superior to both of them.
Wow, that's a pretty bold statement.
Right. He believes that saying all forms of culture are equal is actually harmful. He claims it deadens the human soul.
So he's pushing back against the idea of cultural relativism.
He is. He's basically arguing that there's a hierarchy of culture. Some art and expression are objectively better than others.
It definitely challenges how a lot of people view art and culture today.
For sure. It's a provocative argument that makes you examine your own assumptions about what's considered good or valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now let's switch gears again and talk about the impact of social media and technology.
Can't escape it these days.
It's everywhere. And Brett Cooper, she's particularly worried about the negative influence she sees it having on young women.
Especially all the emphasis on materialism and superficiality.
And what she calls degeneracy.
Right. It reflects a broader concern about this whole online culture, how it affects self-esteem and mental well-being.
The constant pressure to present a perfect image.
Exactly.